Alright, today I'm going to go over the hop up a little bit inside the G36 of DMullen's gun. See right here. So what I think is going on is there's a little lever which I looked up, and I guess it's called the BB stopper. The reason it's called the BB stopper is it must be stopping the BBs right at that location. So I'm going to hold this here just so we can kind of see what's going on. I'm going to drop a BB right in there. See if it stops in the right spot. It seems like it stops in the wrong spot. Now, why do I think it stops in the wrong spot? Because I did some other tests on other barrels. Here's my barrel. This doesn't have a thing in it though. This one does. So we're going to compare with this one. Put this barrel in here. There's already a bucking in here. It's the same purple. I just have a couple extras. Okay, so I put this in here, and this has its own little notch. This is an SHS. These parts are all SHS right here. So as I drop a BB right at the top, and I look at it, what it looks like is it's almost exactly in the bucking holes. So that has to be determined through this, I think, the same. But there's two things I have noticed different. One is that, and two is this air nozzle. This air nozzle has a line on the top of it. The line on the top of it hits this little lever right there, and the lever in this one is an Aries G36 lever. It goes to mine. I have three levers here. I have one there, one here, and one here. So this one had to be modified to fit because none of these did. Alright, so I just decided to use this one and modify it. Now it fits and it moves like this, like it's supposed to. However, when I look at my air nozzle over here, on my Aries G36, there is no line on the top of the air nozzle. It just looks like an M4 extended air nozzle. That's what it looks like. This one is a Prometheus air nozzle, which has a line going through the top of it. So as it moves more forward, it hits that lever. Now, I think that's just to push it out of the way, but why did mine never have a lever? And mine functioned perfectly fine. So I'm not real sure between those two things. I'm not sure if I have to maybe cut this down on that air nozzle so that it doesn't hit the lever. I do know the lever is supposed to move, and it seems that the issue only happens in semi. So I assume this means that the BBs go in really slow and that the lever is extended at its most. It's at the highest point. So I'm going to drop this in here again. And it is too high. So as it hits, as the air nozzle hits it to the bucking, it's too high because of the lever. So to consider though, because there is a line on top of that air nozzle as it's moving, it could be hitting that lever, and that's why in full auto it is working fine, but in semi it is not. So the question is going to be, how am I going to modify this? What am I going to do? I'm going to have to take this barrel out, and to do that I have to do some disassembling that takes about a few minutes. There's a screw that holds the hop up to the gearbox, and then there's 3 screws here to pull this whole thing out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, so with his hop up, we can see I just put a regular C-clip. This is from the SHS. So when you take this out, you may want to be very careful. This was working for, it was working really well. The only problem with this was the JB weld came off, and I sanded and I scorched the top of it to install the JB weld, so it just for some reason didn't hold. I think it's the plastic here, but I put some super glue, and so it seems to be back on there. I'm going to put this on my G36. But here it is here, so we can see that the hop is easy to move. I have taken one of these that's inside and slightly with a sanding drill bit sanded this down slightly, because the previous ones would give too much hop. So as soon as you would start to shoot, there would already be hop. What I'm going to do is send one of these extra with you, so if you ever decide to give more hop, you can just install that yourself. Right now, with 2.0s, there is no hop when you put it all the way down. When you turn it up, you got to turn it up quite a bit to get hop for 2.0s and 2.5s. But it will not over hop like it was, because it was pretty bad over hopping. Alright, so that was fixed, but the semi is what we're looking at. And here, if you take close inspection of this, it looks like a piece of it is too close to the bucking. See if I can zoom in here correctly and show that. Sorry, but my camera does not want to zoom in very well. But you can see that the tip here is actually touching into the bucking. So that might be a bad thing. It has to be sanded down or Dremeled down. Let me get a flashlight real quick. Alright, so here you can see right there the bucking. See how the lip is touching the top of that bucking right there, the lips. So this hop up chamber does allow, you can see some markings there. It does allow there's a little channel for the lever to be hit by the air nozzle. And let's see what the air nozzle looks like, right? So here's the air nozzle. You can see the top of it right here. Stops pretty far forward. So the question is going to be how this hits that too, I think. As I put this in here, it seems that there may be a problem with the air nozzle going through that channel right there. If I look really close, there's markings inside the channel like it's hitting it. The channel I'm talking about is right here. Just to show again, because I have bad lighting, sorry. Let's zoom out for a second, just so I can see what the hell I'm doing. See the channel right there. Okay, there's marking inside of it. And what you want to do, I guess, is test with the air nozzle, putting it right on. And I cannot go forward. It's pushing the air nozzle back. So before I would just put it on like this, but I can tell right now that the channel is not deep enough. So what does that mean? Can that possibly be really a problem? See, look here, I cannot push the hop up on without going over the top of the air nozzle. See that? It's just not physically, it's not physically possible. So at this point, that seems like it could be an issue, because I can just slide over the top and lock it here. But as the piston moves back and forth, let's see if there's any marking on this. It does look like there's a tiny bit of marking. So there may need to be some drummeling this lightly, this air nozzle, the top of it. So I may have to take the gearbox apart just to get to that. And check how it feeds through there. Alright, so let's put a BB on this. And it's way over. Way over. Yeah, it's way over the top there. I'm going to have to push down the BB to even get it in there. So you'd have the air nozzle coming forward. Let's try this. Some jamming rod. You'd have the air nozzle coming forward, and as it hits this, it's not gonna. Actually, it looks different than I'm thinking. I think it's the lighting in this room. So I'll put this back in again. Nope, it does go too high. It's the way I'm hitting it. So if the air nozzle was hitting this, I'm going to test right now. Just slide this over. And it seemed to hit it into place. But where it hit it into place is not in the right spot. Okay, the right spot should probably be a little bit more in there. I'm going to try with my G36. Oops. Let's put this in. It seems much straighter. My G36 seems much straighter. So, definitely right there. It tapped the BB up and down as I was putting it in, so I'm probably going to do two things here. I'm probably going to grind that down a little bit. My guess, grind this one down just a little bit so that I can slide this on properly. Even from a top view, it does not slide on properly. The question is, does it fit in the channel very well? It seems to fit the channel fine. So I'm going to do some modifications there. And then in comparison to this, how the BB lands here is right over the top of the bucking. So let's see here. Try that on this again. We just do a comparison from side to side right here, and this one's way too tall. This one's way too high, which was what I was thinking might be the case. It's going way too high in the bucking right there. But I mean, it's such a small measurement. So if I was to slightly, let's say slightly, modify that, it would fit just about perfect. It's such a small modification. So I'm going to do these two things, and then I'm going to, I guess, take it back out to the range and test shoot and see what happens. Now I have a third theory, and my third theory is the spring right here is really, really weak. When I put this in here, there's not very much compression for it. I mean, it's not, or should I say, whatever it is, pressing. That spring is really not pressing. Okay, so if I take that out, let's say I add this one, which is a little longer, a little smaller, and let's say I just stretch it just a little bit. Okay, now when I put this one in, put that one in, it seems a heck of a lot stronger on the press. I'll press this in here real quick and test. Oops. Oh, I'll test that later. Let's compare the arms real quick here. Arms are roughly the same. However, I see why this would stop sooner, because there's a little notch here that this little notch allows it to stop sooner, so it would be, or I should say stop abruptly lower, so it would stop lower. This one, the one I modified, doesn't have that. And the whole reason it doesn't is it used to have it, but I had to modify it off so that it could move properly. This was not cut properly, therefore when this was in there, any of them, it hit right into it. So this had to be shaved down to allow that. However, because of that, this top part's probably going to have to be shaved down slightly to make it the same length as this when it's closed. So I mean, what we're talking about is a very tiny amount. Another issue here is the angle at which it comes in. The angle is different because of this notch. So what I think I could do is take this. They don't really make it where a tool can get down in here and cut it. I mean, it's really hard, but I need to be able to go down in there and cut. So that's why I've been modifying this one. And from what I can tell, definitely it's in a different spot. Here, we'll check with this. We'll put this in. Nice strong spring now. Okay, so this one's installed, and this one seems to come up more. It's a lot more up. So, from my understanding, that stopper, the only thing it does is stops the BB at the right location. Otherwise, it would stop way lower. Yep, that's too low. So if it was to try to push that in the air nozzle, you'd have a problem. So it needs to stop a little bit higher. So I'm going to take the other arm, which has already been modified, and slightly shave down the top of this. I mean, we're talking slightly, and should allow the BB to fit in a little bit better. And then with that spring, let's see. You can see here, this is probably not going to bounce very well. Nope, doesn't. Gets caught. And the whole reason it gets caught is because, like I said, they made this where it's too tight and it just hits right into it. So this type of adjustment is going to have to be very precise. Alright, so I took the gearbox apart because I'm already checking the air nozzle for obstruction. And this is somewhere after 10 magazines. I've been shooting this gun a lot of dry firing and a lot of just launching BBs through it, and the piston has no sign of damage still. Every single internal part still looks like it has pretty much brand new. So this gun should last for a very long time. You can see here there is no marking. So if anything does eventually break down in this gun, I suggest just replace it, simply because it's already taking somewhat of a beating through my testing and shooting. But the fact is, it runs very, 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 very nicely, other than the semi issue which we are working on.